In this tutorial, we will be talking about how to use hatching commands, primarily boundary hatching and then no boundary hatching. And we will be using a AutoCAD drawing called Brick Paver Driveway Exercise. As you can see, this file has a couple things to look at. There's our finished hatching. Here's the unfinished hatching. Here's the challenge. Here's what we need to do. And here is the solution. This is what it's going to look like when we're done. Now we're going to do something that we don't normally do, just due to the nature of this drawing and how we're going to be teaching it. We're going to double click inside the viewport. We're going to reach through paper space into model space and do this drawing. That's not what you would normally do, but just for simplicity reasons, we're going to do it that way. So to start with, we're going to type in hatch. And when we type in hatch, we're going to go to select objects, pick internal points. We're going to pick this right here, and this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. As you can see, our hatching ribbon is opened up. We're going to change our scale to 8 here, and we're going to switch from the ANSI 131, and actually we're going to leave it at that. Sorry, we're going to leave it at that, and we're going to leave everything else as is. But I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to click on that hatch, and I'm going to put it on a different layer. I don't like that green color. It's a little too gaudy. I'm going to put on this layer right here. So that's good. And then we'll make that layer broadcast. So we'll do everything else from there. Now, this next layer right in here is going to be sand. So I'm going to type in hatch, select objects, pick internal points, pick in here, and of course the default is ANSI 131. That's pretty much what it defaults to all the time. And we're going to look for the AR sand. Here it is, right here. And it's so small, so we're going to change the scale back to 1, and let's go 0.25. Let's go. There we go. That looks great. And we'll close it. Okay. So there it is. I'm going to roll back out. And then these last two pieces we're going to scale. Those are concrete. So we're going to go hatch, and we will select internal objects, select internal points. I'm going to click here. I'm going to click here. Of course, it's using the sand again because that's the last one we used. So I'm going to go up here and find AR concrete. And see if we can find it here. AR concrete. There it is, right there. And we're going to go change that back to a 1. Very good. And one of the things that we can also have on is associative, but we're not going to be changing any of these sizes of these objects, so it doesn't really matter if that's on or not. It doesn't really make any difference, so we're going to close that. So that's very simple how you do boundary hatching. You know, you can change the, if we click back in here, you can change things like the scale, you can change the angle, you can change transparency. You can, of course, change what the hatch is. If you have issues where you have boundaries, you know, you need to do something with your boundary over here, or you also have island options where you can tell it to avoid certain things and hatch others. So we'll call that good. So if we go back and look at our solution, the last thing we have is we have all this earth around the outside of the object, but there's no boundary. So here's how we're going to create that. We're going to go negative B hatch. Negative B hatch. I think I typed that wrong. Let me type it correctly. B hatch. There we go. Oh my gosh. Can't type today. B hatch. There we go. Negative B hatch. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a boundary. And do I want to retain the boundary? And in parentheses is no, and that's what I want. So I hit enter. And my start point is going to be right here, but I have to turn on my hatching. Excuse me, my running object snaps. I'm going to select all. I'm going to uncheck nearest, and then I'm going to start selecting all the way around the outside. And it's going to draw a bit of a boundary there. You can see it being drawn in that rust color. But that boundary will go away in the end, but that's where it's going to show where we've been. And then I'm going to go down and select arc. Then I'm going to select direction. And the shorter you pick, the larger, you know, the tighter the radius, the longer you pick, the bigger the radius. So I'm just going to, you know, just do something real simple here. Do it like this, and come around here like that. It doesn't really matter what the shape is. You just want to go around it. So, and it says, do you want to accept this boundary? I do, so I hit enter. And then I'm going to go to properties. And I'm going to type in earth. I didn't type it right. There we go. Earth. I'm going to hit enter. And my scale, I'm going to put an 8. And for my rotation, I'm going to put 45. And then I hit enter twice. And there it is. So the hatch boundary went away. And if we look at this one over here, our solution, we can see, even though it's not shaped the same, that doesn't matter. You know, if you want to get it just like that, that's great. But you don't have to. And so there's my no boundary hatching. So we have talked about how to create a regular boundary hatch as well as no boundary hatching in this tutorial.